Today, we have the honor of having Mr. NiQ Lai, the co-owner and group CEO of Hong Kong Broadband Network. I've known NiQ personally for over 20 years now, and NiQ has always been an inspiration leader, not only unleashing himself, but also with his working partner, whom they call talents. I'm also very fascinated by HKBN's culture and purpose, which is to make our home a better place to live. The company is famous to be known for co-owned by around 1,000 co-owners and talents who have skin in the game and put their family saving into buying shares of HKBN. Over the years, HKBN has significantly narrowed the gap between themselves and a major telecom provider in Hong Kong broadband market, and recently expanded into enterprise solutions and also other related business. NiQ, thank you for being here.
Thank you, David.
So, I had numerous chats with you, and we talked about a lot of different subjects, including personal and business matters. And I remember last week, I told you we have a lot of similar values in terms of what we do in Destiny and also in what you guys do in HKBN. And I love to talk about in today's interview. And I'm sure our community members and audience at Destiny will very much eager to learn from you about yourself and the company. One of the things for Destiny's vision is to magnify human experience and create magic moments for our community members. And I can definitely see that from HKBN. From what I know, HKBN has been sponsoring their talent in achieving their first degree and asking their families to come over to celebrate over graduations. Also, I understand they are very creative and transformational in training their talents so that they are coming up with a lot of new things and new ideas. Last time we talked about getting stuff done at HKBN, and I can definitely see you are promoting a growth mindset in your organization. So over the years, we've been serving community members such as Growth Enterprise, listed company, and family office. And I do see a lot of problems from them with their people, whom you call them talents. And hopefully today's interview will be able to resolve some of the missing puzzles. So I'm going to start out with the $1 million question, NiQ. I understand that you have a very passionate team here in HKBN. Can you share a little bit insights or tips? How do you recruit the right people into your organization? And how do you measure them when they're on board?
Happy to, David. I think the key is to have a very distinct culture. If you look at our company, everything else can be replicated. Our network, you can buy, everything else you can repeat. But our culture takes decades to refine. So the key is to have a very distinct culture, and we want you to either love it or to hate it. Second element is have skin in the game. We want the people who love the culture to put skin in the game by becoming a co-owner of the company. And the third, and I would say actually the most important element, is to exit the bottom 5%. That is the wrong fit.
Yes.
We are an elite sports team in the office. We offer only conditional love based on performance. If you want unconditional love, we encourage you to go home. The office is not the right environment for unconditional love.
What does co-ownership bring to your company?
We try and run our company through alignment rather than rules. Think about this. When was the last time you washed a rented car? Well, most employees rent their employer, and the employer rents the employee. That's not the kind of relationship that we want. We want full ownership. And if you have ownership, you don't need rules because you will naturally do the right thing.
I think that's a really good thing for you to share about this.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit more, how do you measure a talent after they're on board with the company?
That's a great question. Now, talent selection is an art, it's not a science. It's subjective, it's not objective. There's elements of objectivity you can put into it, but overall it's a judgment call. Think about this. When we hire someone, we often hire someone after a 45-minute interview.
Correct.
So you have a limited interaction. But when we ask someone to leave, this is after typically 1 year of underperformance and multiple attempts at correcting that underperformance. So I would argue the exit process is actually far more objective than the entry process.
I see. So I think maybe you can share a little bit insights to our community, which include a lot of business owners. And sometimes I realize they are not very determined in axing their staff. I'm sure you talk a little bit about that exit the bottom 5 to 10%. Can you share a little bit tips about how to conquer that limiting belief? Any ideas on that?
The key thing is when we exit someone, it doesn't mean they're a bad talent or a bad person. It just means they're the wrong fit. We are an Olympic standard elite sports team. If you're passionate about that, we're a great company. You'll love this environment. But if you're the wrong fit, it's better to separate early. That's the key, to find the right people. As a company, we like to think of ourselves as a elite dragon boat. In a dragon boat, everybody has to row at the same sink. Otherwise, it'd be a mess.
I remember you talk about that analogy, and I do agree with you on that as well. And when you talk about this, it's because I understand that you basically, when you started with this company, you were the Chief Talent Development Officer. Now you become the Group CEO. How has the transformation process to you?
I think it's been very natural. The core lucre of this company, legal unfair competitive advantage, is our people. So I think it's only natural for someone from talent development to progress up in this company.
Is there any stories or unforgettable incident during that period of time that you can share with our audience?
There's been some incredible moments. You mentioned how we sponsor the opportunity to go back to school.
Yes.
We have 6,000 colleagues in this company, many of whom never had the opportunity to go to university. We offer a second chance to go back and earn your degree. But everything we do, you have to earn. We can give you a hand up, we never give you a handout.
I see. I understand you have a proper punishment and reward system in your organization. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Happy to, David. So we look at our entire talent base, the salary base, and then ask the bottom 5% to leave the company. This is to do with finding the right match. Now, what we mean by a wrong match is, for example, you may be great with people but poor with numbers, but you're sitting in our finance department. So when we ask you to leave, we give you an opportunity to switch. You may switch into sales, and that would be considered an exit. So it's about finding the right match and finding that match early so that you can thrive. It's about empowering people. It's about giving the right context to do better.
Nick, I understand a lot of organizations have limited resources. How do you put these resources into your organization in terms of selecting the right people on board?
I think every company, big and small, have limited resources. Our view is we like to focus our resources on the top 95% of people in our company rather than get distracted by the bottom 5%. That's why we're very focused. Develop our best 95% of people.
Nick, let me ask you, what do you learn about over the years? How do you become a better leader?
I think the key is to look at the big picture. Look at from the whole picture in rather than just the person out. For example, during COVID, we consider broadband to be a lifeline service. Can you imagine living through COVID without broadband, without being able to work from home, educate from home, entertain from home? So when we consider ourselves as a lifeline service, when you see an emergency, you run towards it, you don't run away from it. And that is what keeps us motivated. It's part of making our home a better place to live.
I remember you mentioned everyone have their success stories. What's your philosophy on yourself and on HKBN?
The success is the question we ask ourselves as a company, as an individual. What would our home look like without us? And if the answer is our home is better because of us, then we're successful. I believe Hong Kong today is stronger as a city because of the benefits we've delivered to this city through better broadband services, through competition. Our Home Plus initiative will help bring retail prices down. These are all how we define success.
What is your future plan, both for HKBN and for yourself?
The future plan is to continue to execute, make our home a better place to live. We have done that in the telecom space. We're now expanding that to the retail space. Now, the retail space is 10 times the size of telecoms. So every time we come close to solving a challenge, we pick a new challenge based on the confidence and the experience that we've gained from the previous attempts.
Yeah, that's where I see you growing over the years. And what about after the pandemic? What do you think about the opportunity and challenges for Hong Kong business in the next 5 to 10 years?
There will be lots of opportunity. COVID has changed the way we run the company. We're far more flexible. You have to be far more flexible today. You have to be far more accommodative to our talents. If you look at what we did with our government subsidy, we passed through 100% of our government subsidy, which represents about 20% of our net profit to our talents. And that's something that we are incredibly proud of having done.
That's wonderful.
In our company, we're always talking about change or die. That's a constant. The only constant we have is to change.
I see.
No matter how good we are today, we will be outdated by tomorrow. Feel like when you buy the latest iPhone, iPhone 12, we know in 4 years' time it's going to be outdated. That's how we run the company. We may be the newest model today, but in a couple of years' time, we're going to be outdated. So let's always be on the lookout for change.
And what do you see Hong Kong company has to do in order to transform themselves from today's situation?
I don't see there's a Hong Kong company. I think we are a global company. We aim to be world class, not Hong Kong class. So the key is to look beyond Hong Kong in terms of best practices.
So you probably would suggest some Hong Kong-based company to also look abroad for some further opportunities as well?
Certainly. I mean, we should be world class, not Hong Kong class.
What's an example of having alignment and having rules in the company?
An example would be, we issue a lot of corporate credit cards. A corporate credit card is settled directly by the company to about 1/4 of our entire talent base. And we have no rules. Spend as you see fit. Spend as you see is right for the company. The only rule that we have is we reserve the right to put your corporate credit card spend on the intranet for all our co-owners to see how you spend the money. Now, if you think you're doing the right thing, hurry up and go spend it. If you are concerned about how you spend the money, then don't spend it. As simple as that. We do not need a thick rule book to tell you how to spend company's money.
I understand that you have few transition over the years. You have acquired WTT and JOS, recently. How do you actually reconcile different talents from different organizations? Do they have any, challenge in terms of communicating with each other, and how do you resolve with them?
I think the key is we want cultural fusion, a fusion of the best, not cultural confusion, a mix match of different cultures. So we have a very distinct core purpose: make our home a better place to live, and that's the overriding North Star. Under that, it's talent obsession. A lot of companies say they want to be, they're shareholder obsessed, they're talent obsessed, they're customer obsessed. If you have too many obsessions, you're just confused. Ours is very, very clear. We look after our community and we treat our talents well because it requires passionate talents to deliver the core purpose.
So let me ask you, Nick, is there any unfinished business for yourself and for HKBN in the future?
Business is never finished. Our aspirations will never be achieved. Aspiration is like our North Star. Our culture is like aiming for the North Star. You would never get there, but every day we get one step closer.
That's fantastic. I think our community will very much enjoy what you just said. That's a fantastic example to illustrate to our community. Nick, I understand the pandemic has caused a lot of people with a lot of stress. And mental health has always been our focus in Destiny Research Institute. Can you share a little bit about how do you actually manage your stress?
I think the key is to look at the big picture. I mentioned we are in a lifeline service provider. If we appreciate what we're doing for the community, that overrides the short-term stress that we face on a day-to-day basis. If you see the better good, the bigger good, that overrides the short-term issues, in my view.
And what about your time schedule? I understand that everybody is running on a very tight schedule. I mean, even today, we both have very tight schedule. How do you actually manage your time? And what's your time management strategy?
I think the key is just to first recognize there's only 24 hours in the day. And then decide what you want to do with the 24 hours to optimize it. So focus on the top 3 things. Often the top 3 things are 90% of what we have to accomplish. So concentrate and focus.
That's really good. I share the same thing as you do, on my time management routine. Do you have any particular practice that you do every day in the first thing in your morning? For myself, I do a lot of meditation. What about yourself? Do you have any personal regime or any rituals that you do on a daily basis?
Not so much. I enjoy playing tennis 2 or 3 times a week. I think that keeps the body fit. So exercise is very, very important.
And if you have to rank your life right now, 0 meaning you don't want to jump out the window, 10 you're on top of the world, what kind of score will you give to yourself?
I would give myself 9.5.
Okay.
And the reason for that is live life with no regrets. In the sense that, yes, I've made plenty of mistakes along the way, but the mistakes are like an experimentation. You learn every time. Every mistake I make, we learn, we take a step forward. So be satisfied with what we have achieved, but the 9.5 means there's still some room for ambition.
I share this, view, quite similar to how I see my life as well. I think, to me, it's really living life with no regrets in my life. So I believe that 0.5 is really constantly asking us to progress in the life in different areas. Personally, I went through a lot of personal challenges in my life. I've gone through some really big life-changing incident in my past, 50 years of life. How do you handle and face failure, Nick?
I think we embrace failure, or I embrace failure, knowing that I'm going to make a lot of failures. The key is to learn the right lessons in life, I believe, and not the wrong lessons. For example, if I drive home drunk and make it home, that does not mean I'm a good drunk driver. It just means I had an exception. So the key is to learn the right lesson, not the wrong lesson.
Nick, over the years, I've been talking with my clients. A lot of them are executive. And sometimes not only I touch base on work issue, I also talk about their personal life as well. Personally, I know your wife for quite some years. She's very busy with her charity work. How do you keep your relationship with Michelle? Can you share a little bit about, how's your life with the other half?
I think the key is to accept that we both grow. The 2 people that fell in love 20 years ago when we got married, 2 very different people today.
I'm sure.
And we were to be 2 very different people 10 years from now. We go through life's changes, we go through aging, and the key is to evolve and to embrace the change.
Was there any incident between both of you that you felt that each other has helped somebody grow significantly over the course of your marriage?
I think that's a natural part of the marriage, to help each other. To see her career thrive, she has certainly been incredibly supportive of my career, and now 2 wonderful kids that we created together.
What about children? How do you actually communicate with children? I know both of them, through the events and through some charity functions. How do you usually, talk to them? Do you spend some, magic moments with with your children?
I don't think there's magic moments. Of course, there are time together that we do spend, but the key is to talk with your actions rather than talk with your words. We are, as parents, we are a natural role model for them, and they would look at what we do rather than listen to what we say to them. And I think that's key.
Are there any important values that you've been passing to your children over the years?
Just the way we live our life. If we feel they should do something, let's do it ourselves first.
So you set up as a role model for themselves?
I think we are natural role models for them.
Okay, that's great. Nick, thank you for being here. It's been a pleasure interviewing you. We have learned a lot today. In the next few months, we'll be having a series of inspiring leadership interviews coming. Please follow our Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. See you all very soon.